Hello and welcome to the video, Rivermen and SPHL fans. In this video, we're going to kind of cover Goalie of the Year and MVP race and another few noteworthy things to mention. This is a tight race between MVP and Goalie of the Year. Both categories have three players that are neck to neck. And it's literally going to come down to the wire in a toss-up on who could win these respective awards. I'm obviously going to share my opinions on them, and obviously not everybody is going to agree with what I say, and that's okay. It's not like my word is law. I'm just giving my honest opinion on how I feel this could go. Also to note, I just want to say I'm literally only doing that. I'm not like gonna do all the awards, just covering those. I'm gonna start with MVP. I do think this is just so tight of a race. I mean, you can literally make an argument for all three of these players, and it's legit, right? I mean, it's absolutely legit. But we'll go over the three players real quick. In my top three, I got Alec Bear of the Peoria Rivermen, Nick Ford of the Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs, and Leif Matson of the Quad City Storm. One player that I do believe is worth mentioning, but he's not going to win it. I don't see him winning it at all. This is more of a forwards award than a defensive player award. But I do want to mention Zach Wilkie because I think he deserves to be mentioned. He leads all categories when it comes to defensive players, in points, goals, assists, just every single category he leads in. He's got 56 points on the year, 13 goals, and 43 assists for the first place Peoria Rivermen, which is outstanding numbers for a defensive player. So I just wanted to mention his name. I don't believe he's in the running. I don't believe he has a chance at winning the award, but I do believe he deserves to have his name mentioned. But on to the players that I do feel have a chance at actually winning. We're going to start with going over their points real quick. You got Alec Bear on the first place Rivermen with 67 points, which leads everybody currently as of the recording of this video. You got Leif Matson hot on his heels with 66 points. And then you got Nick Ford with 65 points. So again, you know, Leif is only 1 point behind Alec. Nick Ford's only 1 point behind Leif Matson and only 2 points behind Alec Bear. Not a lot of wiggle room. So, I mean, they're neck to neck, virtually identical in the point category. You move on to the goals. Leading in goals between the three is Leif Matson with 29 goals. I believe that's second in the league, just behind Jordan Ernst, who has 33 for the Peoria Rivermen. Then you got Alec Bear with 23 goals on the season. And then you got Nick Ford with 19 goals on the season, the fewest goals, and the only player that's not in the 20, doesn't have 20 plus goals. Move on to the assists. You got Alec Bear with 44 assists, but leading the way is Nick Ford in that category with 46 assists. And then you got Leif Matson with 37 assists. The only one of the three that's not in the 40-plus range when it comes to assists. So you got all three players leading in a category. You got Alec Bear leading in overall points. You got Leif Matson leading in overall goals between the three. And you got Nick Ford leading overall in assists. I mean, that's how tight this race is. It is extremely tight. And one thing I believe you do have to factor in, does it decide who wins MVP? Absolutely not. But you do got to factor it in. And that's what place they're currently in. You got, again, Rivermen, who are in first place, Alec Bear, captain of the team. You got the Rail Yard Dogs. Again, Nick Ford's the captain of the team. They're in third place. And then you got Leif Matson, not the captain, and the Storm's in eighth place. So I do believe that somewhat does go against Leif Matson, that not only is he not a captain of the team, but his team's in eighth place. And it does matter. It really does matter. It's at one point in time, Storm was on the verge of missing playoffs. It was never that way with Rivermen and the Rail Yard Dogs. So, that kind of gives a stronger argument, I believe, towards Nick Ford and Alec Bear. Does that mean that eliminates Leif Matson? No, it does not. I'm not saying that. But I do believe that goes in the favor of Alec Bear and Nick Ford. It's really hard for me to pick. I want to say the front runner is Alec Bear, and I know people would say I'm just saying that to be, biased and because I'm a Rivermen fan. But I'm really trying to look at this objectively and the impact these players have had on their team. I do believe Alec Bear and Nick Ford are a big reason, their teams are as successful as they are. They are leaders of their team as well. So, that kind of bodes well for them. And again, that's no disrespect to Leif Matson. I mean, obviously, he has some great numbers, regardless if he's a captain, regardless what place the Storm are in. His numbers are still overall outstanding. Out of the three, though, if I'm being honest, I do think Leif Matson is the long shot. Again, I'm not saying he doesn't get it. I'm just saying he's the long shot. Between Alec Bear and Nick Ford, Alec Bear's got more points and he's got more goals, and he's only 2 assists behind Nick Ford. So that's why I give the nod to Alec Bear over Nick Ford, because he's also on a first place team, captain of that team, again, which is why I put Alec Bear the front runner by literally a hair, just barely as barely can get. I do believe Alec Bear is the front runner, and followed by Nick Ford, and then Leif Matson at number 3. Still 6 games left for the Rivermen. Still time to have these numbers go up and down and fluctuate and separate yourself a little more. But as of the recording of this video, I've got to put Alec Bear the front runner for MVP race. So now we're going to move on to goaltender of the year. And to me, there's only 3 choices. And that's Colby Muse, Mike Robinson, and Austin Rodebush. That's Colby Muse of the Peoria Rivermen, Mike Robinson of the Huntsville Havoc, and Austin Rodebush of the Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs. Again, this is a very tight race, and you can make arguments for all 3 of these goalies. All 3 of these goalies very deserving of that award. We're going to go over some of these numbers right now. We're going to start with shutouts. Right now, Colby Muse kind of has a commanding lead in that department with 6 shutouts overall on the year. followed by Austin Rodebush, who has 3 shutouts on the year, and Mike Robb, who only surprisingly has 1 shutout on the year. That honestly surprised me. Mike Robb is a very talented goalie, very hard to score on. And when he's on, he is one of the hardest goalies to put a puck by. So the fact that he only had 1 shutout, it really did surprise me. Then you move on to wins. Now, Colby Muse did spend some time in the ECHL, so he's on the latter part of that. But we'll start with the most wins, and right now that's Austin Rodebush. He has 26 wins on the year. Then you got Mike Robinson, who has 25 wins on the year. And then Colby Muse, who has 20 wins on the year. Now, I will say, you don't win Goalie of the Year based on wins alone. If that's your way of thinking, like that's the strongest stat, that's what gets you Goalie of the Year, no. No, it doesn't. Obviously, it factors in, but that's not what gets you Goalie of the Year, just leading in wins. Moving on to save percentage, you got Colby Muse leading that category with a .93 save percentage. Then you got Mike Robinson in second in that category at a .927 save percentage, so not that far behind Colby Muse. And then you got Austin Rodebush at a .911 save percentage, the lowest of the 3. Moving on to GAA real quick, goals against average. Again, Colby Muse has a commanding lead in that department with a 1.76 GAA. Then for second place on that, you got Mike Robb with a 2.28 GAA. And then Austin Rodebush with a 2.54 GAA. Mike Robb and Austin Rodebush has, more games played and more wins than Colby Muse, which does boost them up a little bit to make a claim towards that. But Colby Muse leads them in every statistical category outside of that. In my opinion, Colby Muse is the front runner still for Goalie of the Year, based on his save percentage, based on his GAA, based on the shutouts he has. Again, helping the Rivermen be in first place currently at the moment. Getting a shutout against Mike Robb in Huntsville. I think that also helps in that category. I think Colby Muse is the front runner, and both Mike Robb and Austin Rodebush are hot on his heels because of the wins and games played. I do think they're right there on his heels. If Colby Muse didn't have 6 shutouts, if he didn't have the save percentage and GAA he had, he probably would not be the front runner, most likely. But he literally leads in those 3 categories above them. And with GAA and shutouts, it's kind of a commanding lead. Even in .93 save percentage, it's hard to argue against that. I want to put Mike Robb in second, but every time I want to do that, I also look at the shutouts, that he only has the 1, and he has 1 less win than Rodebush. But his save percentage and GAA is much better than Austin Rodebush. So again, it's kind of difficult. You can sit here and make arguments all day about who should be front runner and who should be even the runner up. It's that close with the MVP in Goalie of the Year. It's literally that close to where you can make arguments to put all these players in different orders. I know people are going to say I'm putting Colby Muse and Alec Bear as front runners just because they're on the Peoria Rivermen and I'm a Peoria Rivermen fan. But if you look at the overall picture, what place the Rivermen are in, the numbers, it all factors into it. Everything factors into it. And I know strength of schedule factors into it too. And a lot of people will be talking about Quad Cities and Evansville again. That doesn't disqualify you from the award just because you play Quad City and Evansville more than these other two. If that was the case, then the Rivermen would never win an award. So I'm sorry, but that doesn't disqualify you from the award. Whether you like that or not, it really doesn't matter. So, again, that's why I have Colby Muse and Alec Bear as the front runners. I know a lot of people are going to give me crap. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but that's my God's honest, neutral opinion. I'm being as objective and as honest as I can be, and it wasn't easy placing Muse and Bear as the front runners. It really wasn't. Just like it wasn't easy to place Mike Robb as runner-up to Colby Muse or Nick Ford as runner-up to Alec Bear, because that leaves two good players sitting in the third position that you can make an argument could win this award. So, again, this is all subjective. It's all my opinion. It's not like it's law. I'm not like saying this is definitely going to happen no matter what. This is just my opinion as I'm recording this video. I was kind of going to go over other stats, but this video ran a little longer than I thought it would be, so I'm going to save that for another day and another video. So with that, I'll go ahead and wrap this up. You know, Rivermen got a 3-game set coming up with Pensacola Ice Flyers, one in Pensy here Sunday, today, and then they play Pensy twice in Peoria, travel to Evansville, then play Storm in Quad Cities, and finish against Storm at home in Peoria. So catch you at the next puck drop, and I always keep it Rivermen style.